Okay, hi y'all. It's Maddie and Janelle here again for our little mini series of virtual girl circles. Thanks for joining us a second time. If it is your second, if this is your first time with us, I'm Maddie. I work at the YWCA as a prevention advocate, mostly working with children and youth in the Domestic Violence Services Division. You want to introduce yourself again, Janelle?
I'm Janelle. I'm an intern at the YWCA, and I'm also a almost college graduate.
Woo! So exciting. So, we are going to be continuing with the normal format of Girl Circle from before this whole situation. So that means we're going to be starting off with a rose, bud, and thorn. As a little reminder, a rose is something that you are happy about, something that was good, maybe from the last few days or weeks. A thorn is something that is not so happy, and a bud is something you're looking forward to. So, Janelle, would you like to start us off?
Sure. So my rose, I think, is going to be, finishing up school and getting to enjoy the nice weather that we have coming. I'm looking forward to just being outside. And I think my thorn is um maybe not like being able to physically see my friends right now, because I know a lot of them are moving back to their like home states, which is throughout the whole country. I know I have a friend that's moving back to California, so I'm a little sad that I don't get to say goodbye. And my bud, what I'm looking forward to is, um, I would just say, having more time to myself now that school's coming to a close.
Great thing to be looking forward to. So my rose is one of my roommates bought me a gluten-free cake for no reason, just gave it to me, and I've been chipping away at it. It's got like this really great frosting that's like buttercream, vanilla, and then it's got raspberry jam, like layers.
Ooh,
It's so good.
that sounds really good.
Yeah, it was very exciting. Um, and my thorn is I'm also finishing the degree. I'm finishing my master's, and um, a lot of my friends I just can't see in person. And I'm really lucky to live with three of my closest friends, but there are still many others that like I don't feel like I'm gonna have satisfying closure with, and that's hard. And my bud is what's my bud? Well, my bud is dinner, um, because I'm making a very exciting stir fry. So
Hmm.
that's my bud today. Great. So today we are going to be talking about letter writing. And this is like really relevant during this time because um, with social distancing, and trying to stay away from people we don't live with, there can be much increased feelings of isolation and loneliness. Um, and I know that I'm feeling that with being separate from a lot of my really close friends.
Mhm.
I also don't live with my parents, so I haven't seen my parents in a long time. Um, Janelle was also saying like a lot of her friends are going home, and it's hard to feel a similar level of connection when we're not seeing people face to face.
Mhm.
So that's where letter writing comes in. So Janelle, what do you think about why it might be more special to write a letter than to like send a text or an email or something?
So I think that letters are just a little bit more personal. They are usually handwritten. So, you're putting your time and your effort into creating something that's, you know, eligible to be like read. And um, I don't know, you just can get really creative with it and you put like your own kind of twist on it, whether it's like coloring a piece of paper or using different colored ink, um, and things like that. I just think they're really a nice, like, creative way to just be personable with one another.
Yeah, I totally agree with everything you just said. And I also think that um, it it takes a little bit more time to write a letter, and I think that that pause and that reflection is creates more space for like really expressing gratitude and like how we care about people. Whereas like with the text, it's usually like one liners, like
Hmm.
how are you, and there's so much pressure to respond. Whereas with a letter, the response time is so much slower, which I think decreases this like sense of urgency and makes it feel more special.
Hmm.
Um, Also, research does indicate that letter writing makes people happier. I don't have a source for that. I read it on the internet today, but I'm going to believe it because I personally feel very happy and very fulfilled when I am verbally or linguistically writing down how I appreciate people. Other reasons letters might be more exciting than text. We all have a lot of time on our hands right now, and it's a good way to use our time. Letters are classy. You know, like think about being a fancy flapper in the 1920s, like writing letters. It's so much more cool than texting. Um, and also, if you find someone to write letters back and forth with, it can be a really exciting surprise to receive a letter. So you can be giving someone that gift of a surprise, opening their mailbox and like seeing something fun. And you can also maybe be receiving that from someone, which is also really nice. So, also speaking of like letters being more classy and more um, memorable, some important letters throughout history. There's been many phenomenal and famous love letters. But aside from expressing romantic love, Martin Luther King Jr. wrote a really famous letter entitled Fellow Clergymen from his time in prison in Birmingham, Alabama. Whoa, I just said that with a very strong accent. About like the injustice of racial segregation, and that letter had really far-reaching consequences because he so eloquently expressed himself. Another letter, I don't remember the soldier's name, but there was a soldier who was in prison during World War One, so in the early 1900s, and he wrote a letter stating his belief that World War One was being prolonged on purpose by people who had the power to end it. So while letters can express romantic love really beautifully, they can also express feeling like there's a system that needs to be changed, or we need to express some sort of injustice verbally so that other people can get behind us on that. And then also, letters can be great to write to loved ones of any kind. I write my friends a lot of letters. My mom regularly writes me letters. Um, so what we're going to do now is write some letters. So the materials you will need is paper of any kind, some sort of writing utensil. I have a pen. And to send a letter, you do need to put it in an envelope with a stamp, and you need to write the address in a specific way. So you always start with the person's name at the top, first and last name, and then you put the address. So like the YWCA is 1 Salem Square. So you put that. And then you put the city. So it'd be, the next line would be Worcester, comma, Massachusetts, and then the zip code. So that would look like, I'm going to just write it out so you can see. So this is how, oh, it flips it. Well, there's the name. There is the street address, the city, the state, and the zip code. And on the letter envelope itself, again, remember this is flipped, so it would be the opposite way. So this is the
I don't
standard.
think it's flipped for me.
It isn't?
No, I think it's the right way.
Oh, wild. Okay, thank you for technology is such a time. Okay, not flipped. This is correct. So it goes in the upper right-hand corner. This is the address of the person to whom it is being sent, and this is your return address written in the same format as the above address. So you can always pause it here if you need to write any of that down, but that is an important thing to remember when we're sending letters. So we're gonna play a little bit of music. I guess I will play from my phone. I think that would work. So we're gonna each just spend a couple minutes writing these letters. We encourage you to write along with us. If you would prefer to not, you can skip over a couple minutes and we'll be reading our letters and talking a little bit more about how to best format. Okay, so we're just gonna listen to some music and work on our own letters for a couple minutes. Like I said before, if you want to skip over this part and wait till we have read our letters, that is super fine. But we're going to be writing letters now if you want to join us in that.
Things could be stranger, but I don't know how. I'm going through changes now. Spend a lifetime trying to figure it out. I'm going through changes now that have just begun. Under a purple sun, there's many reasons we are what we've become. I'm going through changes, ripping out pages. I'm going through changes now. I knew it once, I forgot. I'm going through changes now. We want everything but what we got. I'm going through changes now. Maybe it's too soon under a purple moon, but I'd ride off with you in a big balloon. I'm going through changes, rattling cages. I'm going through changes now. Things could be different, but I don't know how. I'm going through changes, through all of the strangeness. I'm going through changes now.
Hey, this is Amy Schumer. Did you know that I have a podcast on Spotify? Are you serious? You didn't know that?
I don't pay for premium
I
Spotify.
hosted along with my best friends Bridget Everett, Rachel Feinstein, and Keith Robinson. I can't believe you're not listening yet. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm mad, but I'm mad. Okay, I'm fine now. This season we've got Quentin Tarantino, David Byrne, Ronnie Chang, and the great news is you're in the right app to listen. So search for Amy Schumer Presents Three Girls, One Keith and listen for free, only on Spotify. These are unprecedented times, but together we're ready to get through this. That's why Citizens Bank is committed to helping our communities by providing relief for small businesses and offering financial help to our customers. Our journeys may have been interrupted, but our promise to be there for you has not. Citizens Bank will help you be ready no
right now and for what's next. Go to citizensbank.com/readytogether to see how we're helping our community. Keep the bathroom fresh for whoever's got next. Come on. Hey, hey. Got the breeze, yeah. Hey, cast a long shadow. I know that I lied. Let it rule my mind from time to time. Escaping an old battle clings on like a vine to me. Whispers dirty lies in my ear. I know we didn't start this fight, and I won't let it rule my heart tonight. I can change, I can change, I can still change, I can still change. Tracing an old pattern, drawing the lines from where I am and from where I wanna be. Forget that old adage that history continues to keep us from the world we wanna see. I am scared that I won't get it, but fear won't rule my heart tonight. I can change, I can change, I can still change, I can still change. I can change, I can change, I can still change, I can still change. I can change, I can change, I can still change. I can still change.
How you doing on your letter?
Good, finishing up.
Oh, cool. I'm done whenever you're ready.
All right.
I can still change. You can hold my hand when you need to let go. I can be a mountain when you're feeling valley low. I can be a street
All
light
right.
showing you the way
Okay.
to go.
Pause that. Okay. Welcome back from your letter writing, y'all. I can show mine first. So there are some rules about letter writing. You know, the one is like you gotta address the what's it called, the envelope properly, right? That's like you have to do that. There's also some conventions about how letters are expected to be written, which you can totally choose to follow or not. I'm just letting you know that these are the general conventions. So we start with dear so-and-so, comma, or hello, or sincerest, warmest regards, so-and-so, comma. You always go the comma.
Mm-hmm.
We have a part about our life, what we're doing, something like, today I did this, so-and-so, blah, blah. I'll read you mine in a sec.
Mm-hmm.
We have some portion of questions, especially if you're hoping for a response. You got to ask questions. And then we have a ending remark, such as love, comma, your name, or sincerely, comma, your name, or warm wishes, comma, but it's always something, comma, your name. Again, you can choose to do with this what you will. It doesn't really matter as long as people are feeling loved by you. So I can start by reading my letter. Oh, and we also have the date up at the top. That's important, especially in case you become famous. And if you want to know when these letters are from, they got to know.
They're also just nice to include the date in case you want to like look back on them and figure out what you were doing, you know, on that day.
Yeah, exactly. And I have letters from friends from a couple years ago, and I can look back and be like, oh yeah, like that's what I was up to at that point in my life.
Yep.
That's really nice. So I wrote this letter to one of my friends. Her name is Heather. She's one of my best friends. Dear Heather, I really loved our picnic yesterday. I love how comfortable and loved you make me feel. I especially loved our toasts and the view of the sun setting. Today I've been working on the resource binder on the porch, which was really nice. Oh goodness. Sometimes my handwriting's not very good. Oh, I heard a lot of birds singing this morning, and feeling all springy made me feel so hopeful despite the pandemic. How have you been coping? Are you reading anything good? I'm reading this really fun book about a family evading the law, old out west style, and it is so beautifully written. I think you'd really like it. Anyways, I'm mostly writing to let you know I'm thinking about you, I love you, and I hope you're doing well. I'd love to receive a letter back. Love, Maddie.
Nice.
Thank you. Would you like to share yours?
Yep. So mine is on a smaller piece of paper. It's same setup. So mine is to my friend Melissa, who I made at college. So I said, Dear Melissa, I hope you and your family are doing well and staying safe during this uncertain time. I want to take a little time just to say thank you for all that you do as a healthcare worker, as I can only imagine what your work days are looking like during this time. So thank you so much. During this time, I've had a lot of time on my hands, as we all have. So I've been taking my free moments to try and practice mindfulness. Remember all those activities that we looked into for class? I use that list that we created a lot. My favorite has been the breathing exercises. Have you tried any? How else are you coping? Anyways, I'm looking forward to being able to physically see you again and grab a bite to eat or grab a cup of coffee like we always do. Oh, sorry. I get a little lost in my handwriting too. We may need to turn some of our like hot meals into something more suitable for the warm weather that we're supposed to be getting. Maybe some ice cream. Either way, it will be great to get together again. Miss you. Love, Janelle.
Thank you for sharing. That was so sweet. Also, a great teaser for in a couple weeks when we're going to talk about mindfulness. So, thank you all for being here again, or for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
We hope that letter writing might be a positive activity and a good way for you to show people you care about them. And we both love writing letters, and that's an important way, at least for me, to show people that I care.
Mm-hmm.
So we will be signing off now, but thank you so much for being here. We hope all is well with you. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.